Welcome back, everybody, to the Lead with Love podcast with Dr. Q, where we talk about love, leadership, and real life lessons that actually matter. On this week's episode 18, we're going to talk about the accountability trap. So remember, if you are here today, it is not by accident. You are supposed to be here. You're right where you're supposed to be. So, y'all ready? Let's jump in. I'm excited to be back in the studio. I had a dance mom edition because, listen, dance moms are always gone. But let's jump into this amazing episode. I'm excited to jump into Surrender for Success. So we're inside of Q2, and we just spent 4 powerful weeks on undoing your tie, learning how to lead with humanity, build relationships before we chase results, earn trust before we assign tasks, and offer support before we demand execution, and extend empathy before we begin to enforce expectations. And I hope that you all felt that. I hope that those 4 weeks, it shifted something for you. Okay, why? Because now we're going to be moving into the S, like I said, in Just Care, surrender success or surrender for success. And I need to start this season off like I often do with a confession. Y'all, I used to do everything. I mean, some of that is my control issues, and I'm working on those. But I mean that pretty literally, when I was a principal, I walked into that building and I took on the entire organization, every decision, every system, every fire, every initiative. If something wasn't right, I was going to fix it because that was my job, right? And if something needed to be built, I was going to build it because I was the principal. If something happened, I was going to fix it. And it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for me, right? I thought that I was leadership. I thought that carrying it all meant that I was serious, committed, and trustworthy to be in the seat. That if my name was on the building, then everything in the building was my responsibility. And I know other leaders, you may not say it, but you feel the same way sometimes. And then year 3 hit. And I was exhausted, really, really too. My academic goals were not being met. My team was capable but not empowered. And my coach, this woman, her name is Alicia. Hey, Alicia. She sat me down and said something I did not want to hear, that I resisted. She said, the school doesn't belong to you. It belongs to everyone else. Yeah, I did not really receive that as gracefully as I probably should have, but eventually I did it. I surrendered and everything changed. So listen, today we are going to start our surrender success deep dive, and we are starting with the trap that catches almost every well-meaning, high accountability leader I have ever coached. And believe that if you are truly responsible, you have to do it all. Those that believe that, this episode is for you. And by the end of this episode, you will understand why high accountability and over functioning are not the same thing, even though they may feel identical. Like they feel like an identical within yourself. You'll see that the research says about what happens to leaders and organizations when control is hoarded. And you'll walk away with a very new framework for what true accountability actually requires of you. And it does not mean that you do everything. Okay? And again, y'all, remember, I'm guilty. So I'm not talking to you about what I think. I'm talking to you about who I was. And here is how the trap is set. You become a leader in wherever organization you're in. And whether it's stated out loud or not, you understand the deal that the buck stops with you. Which is true. If things go wrong, you answer for it. If results fall short, your name is attached to that thing. If the organization fails, you were at the helm. And that's real life. It's real. That is leadership. And there's no way around that. It's true. But here is where the trap closes. That level of accountability, that knowledge that it all lands on you can make you want to control everything. Because if you control everything that you're responsible for, then everything will be as you want it, right? And if you are responsible for everything, at least nothing can go wrong without your direct knowledge. So you just take on everything. It makes logical sense. But the problem is this: it has a ceiling, and that ceiling is you. When you are the only one making decisions, your organization can only go as fast as you can think. When you are the only one solving problems, your organization can only go as far as your expertise. And when you are the only one leading, and I say this with love, y'all, your organization is one bad day, one health crisis, one promotion away from collapse, because nobody else has ever been given the chance to carry it. In my book, I write about something that I had to say out loud before anything else could change. You are not the only smart person in the organization. Say it again. You are not the only smart person in your organization or on your team. And the belief that you are, or that you have to act like you are, is not a sign of commitment. No. Guess what it's a sign of? Ego. And ego is one of the most destructive forces in any organization and in every single leader. Ego and emotions, the death of leadership. Listen, in my book, there's talk about an article, What You Must Surrender to Lead Best. It says that the most important thing that leaders must give up is not control over outcomes or even decisions. It is their ego. Their need to always be right. Their need to be the smartest one in the room. Their need to be the one who saved the day. Because that need, however well intended it may be, it shuts down the people around them. And shutting down people do not give you their best when they feel shut down. Shut down people, they won't give you their best. So let me put kind of some weight on this, because I want you all to feel it deeply. Not just understand this. I want you to really feel this, because as a leader, it's counterintuitive. When you do everything yourself, you communicate several things to your team, none of which you actually intend to communicate. You communicate a few things. One, I don't trust you with anything important. You communicate your judgment is not reliable. You communicate the only way that this gets done right is if I do it. And your team, smart, capable people who came to the organization with gifts and energy and ideas, they hear that message. And guess what? They stop. They stop bringing solutions. They stop taking initiative. They stop investing beyond what is asked of them, because they've learned that initiative gets ignored and ownership eventually gets taken away, especially if it's a little rocky. A survey response from the book captures this precisely. A leader participant wrote, as an instructional coach, I once worked under a principal whose leadership was highly directive and micromanaging. There was very, very little room for autonomy, shared decision making, or even trust in the expertise of the team. The environment led to burnout and disengagement among the staff, not growth or innovation. Instead of coaching teachers, I spent my time responding to micromanaged directives. Whew. And double checking boxes to avoid being called out. Oh my goodness. To avoid being on the list. Everybody knows what the list is. The characteristics: control over connection. The result: burnout, disengagement. The opposite of what that leader was trying to build. According to research by Lynn DeCruz in Leaders Surrendering to the Unknown, organizations actually see a direct increase in innovation, creativity, and stronger team dynamics when leaders embrace surrendering control. Y'all, we got to let go. Not a modest improvement, but a direct increase. When you let go on purpose, with intention, your organization will get better, not worse. Better. Here's the hard truth. The thing that you are protecting by doing everything yourself is not the mission. It's your ego. And your ego is costing your organization the very excellence you are working so hard to protect. Yeah, I need y'all to sit with that. That's a hard truth. It's our ego. The ego is very destructive. So if accountability doesn't mean doing it all yourself, then what does it actually mean? Let's talk about it. I think it means hiring and developing people who can actually carry real responsibility and then giving them real responsibility to carry. It means acknowledging out loud to yourself and to your team that you will not be the only reason this organization wins. And that is not a weakness. No, that, lady and sir, is wisdom. It means kind of placing your ego aside to bring people in with strengths that you don't actually have. I say this directly in my book. Hire people who are better than you in areas where you are not the strongest. You have to do that. You have to do that. Is leading with love. Not people who are easier to manage, or people who are genuinely excellent. And then I want you to trust them. It means being present and hands-on, but not in every single decision. The best leaders are not the ones who delegate everything. They are the ones who will do anything that they ask of their team. There is a difference, y'all. And I used to take over a teacher's classroom so that they could go lead a committee meeting that they owned. Not because I was the best teacher in the room. Listen, teaching is hard these days. But because I was modeling that no job is beneath me. And every leadership responsibility is worth showing up for. That is accountability. Not hovering, but modeling. And it means accepting that when you surrender control, when you let go, when you give real ownership to real people, some things will not go the way that you would have done them. And guess what? That's okay. Because the learning that happens in those moments, the capacity building that happens for your people and for you, is exactly what builds the kind of organizations that can outlast you. It's not about you. Remember, that's leadership 101. What are you doing for the people to come after you? So before I let you all go, get your book. It's on Amazon. And chapter 3 is where we're going to spend some time. Surrender success. And we're going to go deep into everything we're covering this month in the book, chapter 3. And the research and the strategies and the personal stories and the full framework for distributing leadership in a way that actually works can be found here in this book. Okay. Next week, we are going to get into the practical side, building systems that actually empower people so that you can surrender success. How do you actually distribute the leadership in a way that actually sticks? Committees, collaborative hiring, layered leadership. We're going to get very specific, so you do not want to miss it. All right. So as we wrap up, listen, the moment that I told Alicia, I'm surrender, was the moment that I stopped being the bottleneck in my own building. It was the moment that my campus went from being mine to being ours. And everything that followed, the improved results, the growth, the empowered staff, the culture that kept people, started right there with I surrender. So let me ask you what Alicia asked me. What are you holding on to that belongs to someone else? What are you doing that someone on your team could and should be doing? What would become possible if in your organization, if you stopped trying to do it all and started trusting the people you chose to lead? I want you to start answering that question this week, because the answer is where your next level of leadership actually begins. Thank you all again so much for joining me on the Lead with Love podcast. Listen, I hope it's helping somebody, okay? It helped me, and I want you all to be the best leaders you can. So listen, if today's message spoke to you, share it with a leader who's running themselves ragged, trying to carry it all, because there is a better way. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss next week's episode 19, Building Systems That Empower. And remember, leading with love is not a one-time decision. It is a daily choice. So until next time, be well and lead with love.